trying to open the gates of hell, but we won't back down. So yes, we'll stand our ground. We won't be pushed around. We must keep you from putting our kids in the ground, so we can't stand down. No, we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't stand down, brother. So we'll stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. 'Cause we know what's right. And we got plenty of fight. And if you think you're gonna keep pushing us around, well, you'll lose that crown. 'Cause we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've gotta stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. You know, it's pretty clear. If these lunatics think they have the right to strip us of our rights of self-defense, and if they're willing to do that, what else are they willing to do? We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. No, we won't back down. Back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've gotta stand our ground. So we won't back down. No, we won't back down. Virginians, you won't fight this fight alone.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to you mothers out there. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking time out of your Sunday evening. My name is Pat Webb, and I'm here with Philip Van Cleve, the president of VCDL. I hope you all are having a great day.
I know I went to the range, so I had a good day.
I had an excellent day. We went
Yeah,
to the range, and my son brought down some shrimp and steak and lobster tails, and we had a lovely dinner under the apple tree. It was fabulous. So
you're checking to see if Newton was right?
the apples aren't that big yet, but it was a gorgeous day. So we took advantage of it and sat outside. But anyway, we are here to talk about 2A stuff, and that is partially 2A. We did go to the range and had a good time.
Yeah.
So,
Well, there's a lot of different things going on. It's constant motion, one way or another, between the stuff the Trump administration is doing, various lawsuits that are in process around in Virginia and in other states as well, as well as a few other things. I just saw a notice. Yeah, as you remember, we lost Al Steed, one of our board members. He passed away, and he was out in Salem and Roanoke, that area, and really helped pull that part of the state in. And Al had gotten to the point where he didn't feel like he could keep it up, and so Nat Weigel took over and did a great job taking over that part of the state. But other things have pulled Nat away, and so right now we're kind of, I think we're a little bit in limbo there, and it looks like we're probably not going to have our annual shoot, the Roanoke Rifle and Pistol Club shoot for the VCDL benefit, because there was really nobody to coordinate it out there. So anyhow, I'm going to check into that, but I have a feeling that's not going to happen this year. So maybe by next year we'll have that part of the state back with back running the way it should be running.
I hope
So
so.
yeah,
Um,
it's hard.
we do also, this is a good time to mention it. We need some more gun show coordinators. And what we're trying to do is build up teams so that it's not a burden on just one person, that the load can be shared and uh, make it easier on everyone. But if you're interested in either volunteering to take a shift at a gun show, or um, even more importantly, volunteering to be one of the coordinators, we need in the Southwest Virginia, we need at least one more, probably two more in Chantilly. We need somebody in the Fredericksburg area. We need a couple people in the Fredericksburg area. So this is a really, really vital position within VCDL, and it's the main way that we reach out to the public and spread the word. So um, if you can take on that position for 6 months or a year or indefinitely even, that would be something that would be a great help.
Absolutely. Yeah, Virginia's a big state, and we're trying to be represented in all the various gun shows, and sometimes other than gun shows, depending. And that's brought in a whole different audience when we go somewhere that's not a gun show. But we need volunteers. We're powerless without people stepping forward. And again, we don't want to burn anybody out. So that's why we're hoping to spread it out a little bit, but we definitely need people to step forward. You're the lifeblood of this organization. We're grassroots. We're not,
Right.
a top-down organization.
Or astroturf. Yeah.
No, God, no, not us. We're no astroturf. We don't have billionaires throwing money at us to create fake organizations. Um, the other side keeps doing that and changing their names and doing all kinds of weird stuff. We've had the same name since 1998. So, looking around us a little bit, and there's a couple. We have an action item, and hopefully a lot of you have seen it and done it. If not, HR looking at Congress now, not Virginia directly, but this affects Virginia. HR 404 is called the Hearing Protection Act. And that was put in by a Virginia congressman, Ben Klein, Congressman Ben Klein from the western part of the state, who was in the General Assembly for years. And I worked with him. And I knew we were going to miss him when he moved off into Congress, but now he stepped forward again with a good, strong bill. The problem is the bill, as of right now, is being held up in a Republican-controlled committee called Ways and Means. It's a very important committee. It's not dead, but it's not going anywhere, and that's one surefire way for it to die if it doesn't get voted out of there and get moving to the floor. They need to move on this stuff. We don't have forever. This is not an election year coming up, so a lot of this stuff that we would like to see done to improve our laws in Congress in the United States, this is a good time to do it right now. Again, nobody's up for election this year, and who knows what the future will hold? You got to seize the day, as they say. We certainly need to do that. There's another bill that goes with that. Besides an HR 404, there's HR 2395 called the Short Act. And what that does is that kind of protects us from having issues again with pistol braces, so that in some future administration, they really can't come around and BATF can suddenly say, oh, no, they're illegal again. They think they make a short barrel rifle. We're trying to fix this and get this over with. I, for one, am sick and tired of BATFs flip flopping over the years. For years, they say something is legal, and then, oh, sorry, we made a mistake. It's illegal, and now you're the one stuck holding the bag because we screwed up. They've done that so many times. Flip flop, left, right, left, right. No, that's no way to run a. That's no way to run a business. In fact, the way it should be is once they make a ruling like that, and say something's legal, that should be the end of it. They should not be able to go back on that, because you've now set. Be damn sure, BATF, that you got it right, and then put the regulation out and be done with it. Don't be flip flopping on us. But anyhow, with the Trump administration in there and all the changes they're making, hopefully, at least for now, this won't be an issue. But we always have to look down the road when we have a different administration. If we get another Biden type person that's completely anti-gun, then what? What are our protections? So we need to do that now. This is why we need everybody to call the Ways and Means Committee and just leave a message and say that you want HR 404 and HR 2395 reported out of committee as is. And they're getting a lot of calls, I've heard, lots and lots of calls, but doesn't hurt. I'd rather have them have too many calls than not enough. So that's
Yeah.
kind of at the top of the list right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you have the ATF saying that we need our agents to have suppressors because they shoot all the time, which they probably don't, and it protects their hearing, and it's a health issue. So is their health more valuable than our health is? One has to ask that question.
Well, it certainly seems that way, doesn't it?
Yes, it sadly does.
But at some point, and again, there are bills out there that would take the suppressors, at least take away the $200 tax stamp and so forth, make it so that you could buy one right in the store, maybe with just a regular background check like you do for buying a gun. That would change a lot of things, and that's the way it should go. That would help all over the place. Now people could shoot and disturb their neighbors less if they're allowed to shoot on their property legally. It's still nice to keep the noise down so as not to disturb neighbors unnecessarily. And this would make it much, much easier for people to be able to afford to do that.
Absolutely. If you don't have a muffler on your car, you get fined. If you put a muffler on your gun, you have to pay a fine. So.
Yeah, it's due. Oh, then we can't hear when a gun is used in a crime. Well, you can't hear a car when it's used in a crime if it's got a muffler, I guess. It's all again, it's all stupid, but hopefully we can get that fixed and people can, again, we can lower the volume out there for people shooting, and I think that will reduce the number of complaints of neighbors complaining about noise. I think it really will help, and of course, the suppressor doesn't stop all the sound by any means. Again, depending on the caliber, if you got like a 9mm or something, or a 40, or even a 223, it takes it from a jet plane taking off down to a jackhammer. So it's a lot easier on your ears, but it's nowhere near dead silent. You still know a gun went off. It's just that it's not nearly as loud. And the other thing is, it makes the gun longer. So it doesn't add to conceal it. You don't walking around with a suppressed handgun would be pretty difficult to carry it suppressed because it's just concealed because it just makes it bigger. But this isn't about that. This is simply about shooting at the range or even in your home. I mean, if you've got a self-defense firearm in the home, putting a suppressor on it would mean in an emergency, if you have to defend yourself, you don't have to choose between losing your hearing or being murdered.
Right.
So that's and that makes it safer audibly for everybody.
Absolutely.
So we saw something rather interesting, and it's sort of never quite seen this before. The Attorney General Bondi, they filed an amicus brief in a case coming out of Hawaii where the United States government is basically siding with the complainant, who was the whole issue of this lawsuit deals with Hawaii. Look, Hawaii was one of those states that when Bruin was decided, they just decided to rebel, like New York and New Jersey and California. And Hawaii was another one of these. What they did was they said, okay, you can have your Second Amendment. We'll do a shall issue on permits, but good luck carrying your gun anywhere. I mean, because New York tried to make all of Manhattan or whatever a gun-free zone because a sensitive government area that got shot down. But Hawaii was like that too, where they put up just all kinds of everything under the sun was a sensitive government entity. And the Supreme Court had said no, very few government offices and buildings are going to be sensitive. Very few of them. And yet these people are going crazy. Well, one of the things they did in New York and Hawaii was they said, well, private property. If you want to carry your gun on somebody else's private property, they have to post a sign saying it's okay for you to carry. If they don't post a sign, it's off limits. You can't carry unless they post a sign giving you permission to carry. That, of course, is ridiculous. And that basically makes a ban all over the place. You almost know where you could carry it. Of course, that was the point of this stuff. So in Hawaii, there was a lawsuit over this, and the United States government is now siding with a complaint saying no, and they want the Supreme Court to take this case and shoot it and basically shoot down that law, saying no, you cannot make it so all private property is off limits unless you're given specific permission. No, and so that was very refreshing. I guarantee, under if the elections had gone differently, we would not be seeing that kind of an issue. But that's very important. Um, another thing that's on the radar now that at least a few attorneys are watching carefully because California and Illinois are basically have come up with a way to ban Glocks. I mean, completely ban them, make them contraband, and the fear is that this whole concept could spread everywhere. Any of your places where you've got gun controllers running the show, and you might say, well, what's the deal with Glocks? Why are they getting taken out? Well, it's because only there's something called a switch. I think we've all heard of it. Basically, it replaces the back plate on the slide of a Glock and turns it into a full auto. And it may have I think it's a switch, so it probably goes semi-auto and full auto, but totally illegal. It's considered a machine gun, the part itself, much less the gun when you install that. And the argument that you're hearing from Illinois and California in their law is, well, any gun that can be easily modified. They didn't say Glock, but they said easily modified, where the manufacturer knows that the gun can be easily modified to be fully automatic, is considered a machine gun and therefore is banned. And the only reason that Glock's the only one with this is probably, I mean, that's why they're being singled out right now. But who's to say that somebody couldn't come up with a switch for SIGs or F and any of those other manufacturers? So, but this is what they're doing. They're saying in this case, and there's some lawsuits that were to this effect as well, saying, Glock, you know that your gun can be modified. You know this switch thing exists, but yet you still have the same gun. You haven't made it so that they can't put the switch thing in it. And so that's the basis that the lawsuits and now states are starting to look at finding clever ways to take away some of the most popular semi-automatics. Again, they want to disarm us. Doesn't have to be logic here. Doesn't have to be goodwill here. Doesn't have to be anything about lowering crime. Doesn't have to be fear of machine guns. It's just another excuse, another doorway that they see an opening in that they can run through and try to ban something else. Been working for ARs and AKs for a long time and have banned them in some states, basically. Not because a lot of people are killed by them. Very few are. It's extremely rare compared to hands and feet and knives and blunt objects and everything else. But they're encircling us and trying to just keep nibbling away at the borders. And so we have to look at it. We're in a war, and we have to push back and fight back on all of this stuff. But this is just a heads up. I haven't seen it in Virginia yet, but it'll be coming, there's no doubt, unless elections go well.
Yeah, like you say, Philip, Glocks are only the first step. And here's the problem. Even if we could take all the guns off the face of the earth, just snap, magic button, whatever, and all firearms disappeared from the face of the earth, would that stop murders? No. Would it stop armed robberies or rapes or anything like that? It would not. Evil has been around since the dawn of human beings. And a gun is only a tool that we use to defend ourselves against that evil. And it's also a tool that evil people use to attack other people. But it's only a tool, just like a hammer or a vehicle. I mean, how many times lately have we seen somebody driving a vehicle into a crowd to deliberately commit mass murder? But you don't hear the talking heads talk about, oh, we have to ban automobiles or limit the speed that an automobile or the capacity of an automobile or the weight of an automobile, because the heavier it is, the more deadly it is. We don't hear that kind of thing.
No, I tell you what. Again, what taking away guns does accomplish is it allows the government to do as it pleases from then on out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it accomplishes.
Yes, because they're not taking them away from themselves.
Oh no! Oh heavens forbid! No, they get to have everything that we can't. They have things now that we can't have.
Absolutely.
They have their machine guns, and they can get silencers without any real trouble at all. They just want them. They just get them. They've got grenades. They've got all kinds of stuff that is very difficult or impossible to get as a regular citizen. But you disarm us. Go ahead.
The most frequent mass murderer is governments.
Big mass murders. I mean, we're talking millions when they get involved. And there's no doubt in my mind that there are people out there that if they had the power to do it, would be more than happy to take out people like you and me, Pat, because of our beliefs.
Absolutely.
And everybody else out there listening, all of us that are part of this freedom thing that believes in liberty, that believes in our right to protect ourselves. There are people that would like to put us on boxcars and send us off somewhere. And what keeps those kind of things from happening is the fact that we're armed. And that's what, in the end, that's what we can't take our eye off. Again, we can sit there and we can, go ahead and explain to them why what they want to do won't help with crime. But in the back of our minds, we have to understand at the end of the day, you might be convincing, when you talk about those things publicly, you're kind of convincing fence sitters that, oh, yeah, that's stupid. That gun control law is actually dangerous. Yeah, it's good to get those people to understand that. But for us, we have to keep our eye on the fact that they want to disarm us and they want to do it any way they can. This is not going to end in our lifetimes or probably our children's lifetimes or whenever. It's not going to end. This is an eternal battle. I hate it. We should not be here, but we're going to be here. We've got no choice. If we don't fight this, then we can we know where that's going to go. We have to fight it. It's a pain. I wish we didn't have to exist as an organization, but it doesn't let up. Every time I turn around, there's another scheme that they've got going to find some other way to nibble away at the rights. Colorado just got their tail kicked with some really, really bad laws that were passed there. And at one time, Colorado had great gun laws, absolutely incredible. But Californiites moved over there and infected it, and now it's completely flipped around. And Virginia we've not gone as far as they've gone, but we've seen what's happened here. Something similar, which is going to be interesting considering that the government's being trimmed. So I don't know what that's going to do in Northern Virginia. But we're in this is spreading everywhere. So it's just our fate. We have to do this, and hopefully we can do it. Through the ballot box.
Yes, and the elections this November, the primaries right now, and then the elections in November are vitally important in Virginia this year because we have the governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, and the entire House of Delegates. So that House of Delegates, if we can flip the balance of power, then we have a firewall to prevent bad bills from getting through. The Senate's not up for another 2 years. In 2 more years, the entire House and the Senate are up. So then we can flip the balance of power potentially for the entire General Assembly and get some good bills through. But the governor's race is going to be vitally important, as is that the House of Delegates. And then, of course, the lieutenant governor has the tie-breaking vote in the Senate. So
we have primaries going on now.
Right.
So those of you that are in one of the districts where there's a primary, on the VCDL website, we did surveys. We surveyed all the candidates that are running either for sheriff or general assembly, Commonwealth attorney, city council, board of supervisors. Not all of them are open, but those that are, we've surveyed everybody. And we've posted the results on the VCDL website. Now, not everybody's responded. A lot of people have, but a lot of them haven't. But I don't know if a single Democrat has responded to any of those. I'm not aware of any. Maybe some have come in, but it's at this point the only people willing to step up and proudly talk about their view on the Second Amendment right now are Republicans.
Right.
And
As we
that's
get
pitiful.
responses to the VCDL candidate surveys, these candidate survey scores are being posted. I put the link in the chat so you can check back there frequently and see the survey scores of the candidates that have submitted the surveys.
Yep. So let's casting our eyes back to the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, just briefly. We have been waiting for them to give certiorari, as they call it, to the case dealing with the assault weapon ban out of Maryland. And so they get lots of requests. They can only do so many, and they get tons and tons of requests. So every Friday, they look at the list of all these different things that are requesting certiorari, that is, for the Supreme Court to hear the case and then make a decision on it. And what they do, in some cases, they'll grab a couple cases out of there and specifically say, we're not going to deal with this, or they'll grab a couple cases and say, yeah, we're going to hear these. And then other things at that point are relisted. In other words, they'll come back and they'll look at them again next week. And the week after that, they'll look at the list and keep going through there trying to figure out what they want to hear, what they want to reject, and what they want to kind of keep alive. Well, this assault weapon ban case out of Maryland is in that loop. It's being kept alive. They keep relisting it every week. And so it's been relisted again. And we have our fingers crossed that hopefully soon they will decide to hear that case, because we need to put this quote unquote assault weapon ban case to rest. We need to get this settled. AR-15s are the most popular rifle in America, hands down. Even the BATF has admitted that back when they were under Biden. They're following their own ruling earlier for the Supreme Court. They said anything that's in common use, any firearms in common use, they're out there. Lots of them can't be banned. So we'll see. You could somebody could pull a rabbit out of a hat on that. I never feel comfortable when something's in front of a judge or justices, but it is, and sometimes that's our only choice, and we just have to hope that we've got good people in those positions. Here in Virginia, we had a couple cases heard in the Fourth Circuit. Now, the Fourth Circuit's here in Richmond, and it controls Maryland, Virginia. And I'm not sure. There's another couple states in there. I don't know if it's West Virginia and North Carolina. I'm not sure, but we and Maryland are definitely part of the Fourth with the headquarters in Richmond. And they heard two bills, which I listened in on the actual presentation, not bills, but lawsuits. I listened to the presentation of those lawsuits, trying to get a feel. I think everybody does that. You hear the lawyers give their case for the government, and the lawyers for the plaintiff give their arguments. The justices and judges will ask questions, and then based on those questions, you try to read the tea leaves. Are these questions, do they sound like the swing is towards the plaintiffs or towards the government? And in the end, there's no way of knowing for sure. There's no absolute way to read the tea leaves. I've seen it go both ways, where the questions looked like something was going to be shot down, and then it was not shot down. And then other times when it looked like the case was going to pass, then it got shot down. So you don't really know, but you kind of get a feel. And often you can guess, but there's no guarantee. When it came to the Maryland ban, what Maryland had was a ban. Again, I talked about this earlier, where some states like Hawaii have made it so you can't carry almost anywhere. Well, Maryland did the same thing. Maryland said, "Oh yeah, you can have your permit, but sadly, you can't carry in restaurants that serve alcohol. You can't carry in libraries. You can't carry here." Bam, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. Just went on and on and on. Can't carry here, can't carry there. So they got sued over that, and that's now in the Fourth Circuit. And I must say, listening to the questions asked, it sounded like the Fourth Circuit was actually leaning towards the plaintiffs in this, saying, yeah, this looks like overreach, because they were asking questions about why would you consider, some of these things to be, how could you consider these things to be sensitive government areas, especially when they've never been called that before in Maryland. Now suddenly they're sensitive, but they've never been sensitive before. And an argument was also brought up that, sensitive places for the government should have very intense security, metal detectors, all that stuff, all the things that would try to guarantee that no unauthorized weapons get through. And so they're certainly not doing that at every restaurant in the state, and not doing it in all the other areas that they're trying to ban guns. So my view on that was, what I heard, and I've heard some other people that listen to this as well, that are Second Amendment people, and they similarly read it, that it sounded pretty promising, that the state stumbled around a lot trying to justify some of these gun bans, and the plaintiffs' attorneys did a great job. They were prepared. They laid it out every single time that a question came up. They had a good, solid answer, and the state sitting there fumbling around, and the judges were having none of it, none of the fumbling around. The next case that came up right after that was 1 hour, and the next hour was the NRA back after we sued with the city of Winchester over their ban in parks and at permitted events. The NRA sued Fairfax County up in Northern Virginia over the same thing. but except they went sort of the federal level, which meant that like we're doing it in Winchester at the state level. We're going through all the state things, and we hadn't even got to the state Supreme Court yet. But they went federally, and so the Fourth Circuit now is hearing that case. A lower court sided with Fairfax and said, "Oh yeah, they can parks are sensitive areas. They can ban guns there." And now the Fourth Circuit is hearing that. And again, the Fourth Circuit is not generally the most friendly circuit out there. It's kind of almost like the Ninth Circuit in California to some degree. It wasn't always like that, but it's kind of like that now. So we kind of wondered why one would choose to go that route, but they did. And that case got heard. I didn't get as positive of a feeling about the questions on that as I did with the case with Maryland. However, I don't, I there was an argument that that they were banning guns in parks back then, but parks back then were totally enclosed. There was like one entrance to come in. It's not like it is now where you can just walk into a park from any different angle and get in there. There's no security in parks, all that stuff. So anyhow, at some point in the near future, we'll hear how the Fourth Circuit ruled on those two cases. Meanwhile, we'll keep our fingers crossed. But we're suing Roanoke City over this very same issue of parks and permitted events. And that's being dragged out up there. And I think part of that, they're dragging it out so they can see what happens with the Fourth Circuit. So it's, dealing with the courts is tough. And it's something I hate doing. It's much better to do this stuff through the General Assembly and just fix it. But elections have not gone right. Gun owners haven't been out in the numbers they should be. And so we're stuck right now having to sadly go to courts to help settle this.
And by the way, we get comments from time to time, people asking, why doesn't Governor Youngkin just undo the executive order that Northam did banning guns in Capitol Square and yada yada? Well, um, I'm not sure if that executive order is still in place or not, but it's really moot because the General Assembly actually codified that. They passed it into law. So whether or not it is banned by executive order really doesn't matter because the law would override that executive order anyway. So
Exactly.
we really need to address this either through the courts, which takes years and years. I mean, we've been fighting this since 2020, and it's still going through the process. But and that's the expensive way to do it, or we get a good legislature elected, a good Senate and House of Delegates elected that will repeal those laws, and a governor that will sign the repeal.
And we're still sitting on 4 lawsuits that are still floating in the air. We're suing the state of Virginia over their gun ban in rest areas. We're suing the state of Virginia over their gun ban in ABC stores. We're suing the state of Virginia over universal background checks. And we're suing the state of Virginia over one handgun a month. And those things, they'll move a little bit and then they'll stop for a long time. The one that we should be closest to is the universal background check. That case has been presented and everything put out there, but we still don't have a resolution on it. The only thing that's come out of that was something that made permanent the fact that 18 to 20-year-olds can buy a handgun from a third party and not have to go through a universal background check. That was one thing that we did get out of it. We got that years ago, shortly after it was put in, and now it's permanent. But the universal background checks are still no ruling has come down on that yet. So it's all very frustratingly slow. It really is.
Yes. And and it's very expensive. We have tens of thousands of dollars invested already and more to come. So,
Yeah.
and we were expecting an opinion on the private sale background checks, and the judge kicked the can down the road yet again and dragged the case out even further. He asked for more briefs. So it is ongoing.
Yeah.
But those are the frustrations that we deal with.
Yep. Well, Pat and I went down, and Jim Snyder, our vice president, we went down to the NRA conference in Atlanta a few weeks ago. And our goal there was couplefold. One was to get on the air with a lot of these influencers and YouTubers in the gun rights community to get out there and talk about issues here in Virginia and issues that maybe we think would also be of interest to people in other states. Again, something I'm continuing to pull together on a way to reach out to gun owners that are in groups that we normally don't see a lot of action in when it comes to voting and being active politically, like hunters and target shooters and things like that. But we also talked about the safer, faster, safe lives. Pat was talking to some of them and trying to get the word out about the whole concept behind that and making our schools safer and just having some good interviews out there. I'll have one of them posted this week that was done there that will be posted online. It was done live, but it's the audio will be posted online here shortly. So we'll have that. We also were talking to manufacturers about donating things that we could auction off in the future to raise money for all these incredibly expensive lawsuits. And
Hmm.
so Pat and I talked to, I don't know how many manufacturers. And I mean, because that show was a big show. We went from one to the other. And we'll see how that shapes out. Some they all get requests for this. I mean, we're hardly the only
Right.
gun rights organization that's looking for donations to raise money on. But at some point, we're going to have a new website, a whole different platform, and we'll be able to do auctions on the website. So we'll be able to have a series of these going on, and people will be able to bid from your easy chair there.
Right. Bursa said they were sending a gun, and I think it was Athlon Optics sent a whole bunch of discount coupons. So, and there are others that we're still talking to. So we'll see what happens. I've filled out quite a few forms, request forms, and like Philip said, they get scores, hundreds and hundreds of requests every year for this. So, if they don't say yes this year, then we'll ask them again next year.
Yeah,
Uh,
but everybody was nice. Everybody has provisions for doing this, which is great. That everybody's sticking together on this. But again, they know that organizations like ours protect their business as well, because we're all under attack. If you're any part of the Second Amendment, you're under attack. We've seen bills that the governor vetoed this year that would have said even if you were selling accessories to firearms and it got into the wrong hands, a stupid strap for your gun, a
mhm,
sling, or some other little a grip panel or something, you could then be sued. Which
right,
again, no, don't go for logic. Don't make your brains melt down. No logic. It's about disarming us. It's about killing the industry. Oh yeah, you have a Second Amendment. Too bad nobody's making guns. Too bad nobody's making accessories. So that's what it's about. But everybody's under attack, and fortunately, we beat that off. But this is how serious it is. This is just yeah, it just drives me crazy that somebody would do that to us. The people that don't commit crimes, the people that are the most law-abiding out there, and but but we're also what stands between them and tyranny. So that's the problem.
right. So, Patriot from Warsaw made a comment asking, were we aware that certain House Republicans in Congress were blocking the Hearing Protection Act. So yeah, there's been a lot of that on the YouTubes, and we did talk about that a little bit earlier. Um, I, I can't say it enough. It's only a government of the people, by the people, and for the people if we, the people, stay engaged and reach out to the people that we've sent to do our bidding and to protect our rights. And this is not a popularity thing. It's not well. The majority of people want gun bans. It doesn't matter if the majority of the people want X, Y, Z. What matters is there's a constitution and there's basic human rights. And those people that we send to offices, we send them there to uphold the Constitution, whether it be the state or the federal Constitution, and to protect our basic human rights. So we have to hold them accountable, and we have to contact them repeatedly and let them know that A, we're watching, and B, we're not putting up with them not living up to their oath of office. So, and I don't care. I mean, we've got, bless their hearts, Kane and Warner are our senators, and we know how they're going to vote. Does that mean we should not contact them? Absolutely not. It means we should contact them twice as hard, because we can't have them saying, well, nobody has contacted me in opposition of that bill, or nobody has contacted me saying they don't want me to vote for gun control.
I had to laugh. I probably Monday. You think the Warner um, thing is going to go up? That was put together by Josh. The picture of him with the dunce cap on. Is that going to be up on social media on Monday?
I'm not sure when it's going to be up.
Okay.
I haven't checked emails today, so I didn't see it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. They did one with Warner with the dunce cap on. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because he's proudly saying that he's pushing gun control. I mean, again,
Mhm.
Warner is not doesn't hide it. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to quietly vote for the. Oh no, he's gone very. Oh no, we want an assault weapon ban. We want universal background checks federally, and so on and so forth. He
Mhm.
is, he has clearly gone to the dark side a long time ago and is ensconced there. I've not seen him do anything in any way, shape, or form in years now that would have in any way show that he respects the Second Amendment. He talks about how he believes in protecting our right to keep and bear arms. It's pure BS. It's not. He does not at all.
Right. Well, he's right up there with all of the ones that say, I believe in the Second Amendment, but
Yeah,
the
but being
Second
the operative
Amendment,
word.
yeah, but the Second Amendment doesn't have a but.
No,
I mean, there is no but that in that
no.
whole
The only
paragraph.
but is the one saying but.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So, our rights are not negotiable. They're not, they can't be compromised. And so when you have somebody that says, well, we need to compromise on this, we need common sense, we need to meet in the middle. No, we don't. Rights are rights. They're inherent, and they're not negotiable. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and you can't meet in the middle because the other side is offering nothing. So when they go to take away our rights, meeting in the middle means we give up half of what we've got, and they give up nothing. They never
Right.
give up anything ever.
Hmm.
They never do. Not voluntarily, they don't. Only if the General Assembly does something and they just absolutely have no control over it. But no, they give up nothing, and nor should we give up anything.
Right.
We owe them nothing. But anyhow, it just goes on and on. It's just part of what we do. But we're dependent on you. And the reason we harp on this is we're dependent on you guys. At the end of the day, you being active makes a huge difference. A lot of people
Yes.
don't realize it until they see it in action. Things can get done if enough of us speak up and enough of us say active. And that's we're on the hard end of the stick because in essence they're playing a game of attrition. The other side. they're sort of saying, well, we're just going to keep hanging around and we're going to throw out little bombs. And hopefully some of those little bombs will go through and we'll get another segment of gun control through. And meanwhile, they just keep hoping that we'll get either bored and walk away or burned out and walk away or just tired of fighting. And then they'll really go for the gusto. We're in that mode that they just sit there and we in essence, right now, this problem is we're playing defensive. And when you're only playing defensive, you can't move the ball forward at all. All you can do is try to hold the ball where it is. If the elections go well this year, then and then in a couple of years we could begin going back where we used to be on the offensive, which puts them on the defensive, which is a much better situation, and then we can move things forward. But for now, all we can do is just hold our ground. But we have to all pull together to do that. All you have to do is blink your eyes, miss something, and then you've taken a step backwards.
Right. And, just like I was saying about how we need to participate in our government, federal government, state government, and local government, we need to work with all of them. You have more control at the local level and the state level than you do at the federal, but you can't ignore any of them. But we also need you guys to be the grassroots. VCDL is very effective when we all band together and work together. If Philip puts out an action alert and thousands of emails go to a senator or a delegate or a congressman, or like the recent one that the Department of Wildlife Resource Management, is that what they call themselves now? I'm used to game and fisheries.
Yes.
So that hopefully a lot of you sent those emails in and weighed in on those changes that they were talking about making, because they were good for concealed carriers. They were good for hunters.
Open carriers.
Open carriers, yes. So, this is where we can really have the effect, is when we band together and take action like that.
And this is a rare opportunity. Now, I'm glad you brought that up, Pat. I mean, it's a rare opportunity where we actually can move the ball forward at a time when we can't do anything in the General Assembly. We suddenly have had a door open and say, by the way, if you just want to walk through the door and tell everybody this is a great deal, we can move the ball forward. We can actually open up and make gun laws in Virginia more pro-gun, like that, if they go forward with this. And I must say, DWR has been my thinking about them is they've been a top-notch state entity. They really have been very easy to work with, very logical, very much understanding their position relative to the citizens that help provide their paychecks. So this is a great opportunity. I hope everybody's taking it up on that, and soon we'll know. And by August 1st, if they do put all that stuff into motion, that will greatly make things better for all of us. If you ever find yourself on DWR land, national forests, a state forest, all of that, you'll have benefited from this.
And when the General Assembly is back in session in January, we're going to be counting on you guys to, you can sign up to testify in committees virtually. All you need is, you do need your camera. They require that you go on screen, and a microphone from your computer, your cell phone, whatever. And you do have to sit through the drudgery of the committee meeting until they call the bills that are being heard that day. But the more people that testify, even if you just say, I support HB 123, or I oppose HB 123, you don't even have to really say reasons. You can just say, I support for all the reasons that Philip Van Cleve said.
Yeah,
and that's it. But just being there and showing that you took the time out of your day has some influence.
And by the way, there is some other positive stuff going on out there. It's not all negative. We've got positive things going on. I'm glad Pat brought up the thing about DWR. But The Doge went in there when it got rid of U.S. aid. We have found out that, man, that thing was funding gun control. They used our money, our hard-earned tax money, and feeding it into gun control groups to come back at us and try to take away our right to keep and bear arms. There was money going to all the major gun control groups and some of the minor ones. That now has been cut off. Yeah, they got Bloomberg and all that, but somehow even the billionaires were counting upon getting a lot of money from the federal government to fund an attack on the very people that were providing the money. Truly treacherous. And but that's been cut off, and they're going to feel this, and this is going to be helpful if they don't have the kind of. I mean, they just got money coming out of their ears, and this may help with that because we certainly don't. We're dependent on you. We don't have. I mean, Pat and I lament all the time. We don't have any billionaires out there sending us money like that, and we certainly wouldn't have gotten into one of these things that going in expecting U.S. aid to fund us. So I'm glad that's shut down. So and there may be some more things like that that come up. In fact, if they find anything illegal there, it would sure be nice if they went after the people involved in getting maybe illegally getting funds to some of these organizations.
Absolutely. Um, that's part of the problem that we face is that our money is being used against us in so many ways. So again, that just stresses the importance of putting pressure on the people that we hired. Those people work for us, and they get up there and they get this sense of power, and they think that they have power over us. Sadly, people at election time tend to vote for the names that they recognize. And so we see entrenched politicians getting rich on Capitol Hill and so forth. And they do have a certain amount of, um, I don't want to call it power, but they abuse their positions instead of taking their oath seriously and realizing that they have a duty. Um, so again, we need to hold them accountable.
I'm hoping at the federal level that that's going to be again coming on. What we may need is the same thing in Virginia for some of these other agencies. I know there's certainly some odd things going on in other agencies that don't deal with guns. People I know that worked in some of these other state agencies that's got a lot of stuff, a lot of waste and so forth. So we could probably use a Doge here for Virginia as well and clean up a lot of the mess that we've got. It's
I
just
don't
government tends to get that way after a while. You got to
right.
clean house.
I don't think there's a government on earth that couldn't use a Doge, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. No, I have no doubt in my mind. Every year that goes by, a little bit here, a little bit there, waste starts to creep in. The wrong people are in the wrong positions. They need to be weeded out. Again, there's some people that shouldn't be allowed within 500 miles of government.
Hmm.
And there's other people that are wonderful. Government should seek them out and hire them because they're the right kind of person for government. I've met both. When dealing with the federal government as a contractor, I met both. I met people. I said, "Wow, I am so glad that this person works for the government. I can sleep better at night knowing that they're on the job because I really like these people and I trust them." And then I met other people not so much.
Yeah. All right. We are at 9 o'clock. So, are there any other points that you want to cover, Philip?
Another thing I think of right now, I was going to kind of flip through some of the comments here.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep an eye on them as we go along. I think I highlighted most of them. I do want to mention that it's this coming Thursday is our in-person meeting, and you can find that on vcdl.org/events. But this coming Thursday, the 15th, at 8 p.m., we will be at XCal Shooting Range and Fitness Center in um, Ashburn, Virginia. So I hope you can join us for that if you're up in the Northern Virginia area. If you get there early and want to shoot and you're a VCDL member, they do give a discount on the lane rental. And they have a little cafe there where you can grab a bite to eat if you want to.
Yeah, if you've never been there, it's a beautiful facility. It's a $30 million facility, and
Right.
very, very, very nice. It'd be worth just going just to see the place. They have an FFL there as well. I mean, they sell guns there as well as being a shooting range
Hmm.
and so forth.
Yep. And then in June, we will be at the Ravenna Rifle and Pistol Club, I believe, in Charlottesville. So, and I believe that is on the calendar as well, but we will send out reminders for that.
Yeah,
Um,
and I probably should set up a July thing and maybe in Midlothian again for
okay.
Central Virginia. I haven't done that
Yep.
yet, but I'll probably get around to doing that.
So we're trying to hold meetings around the state so that more people can attend the in-person meetings. And if you would like to have one in your area, you can find a place that will hold at least 50 people and get with Philip and coordinate a date. And we can work on maybe getting a meeting in your neck of the woods. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's always fun, and I like the in-person meetings. It's nice shaking people's hands and putting a face with an email that I've been communicating back and forth with somebody.
yep,
And so they're a lot of fun, and everybody, of course, at any of the VCDL functions, whether it was doing picnics or whatever we do, these meetings, everybody enjoys everybody else's company. You know, often we have to kick everybody out of the room at the end because everybody's still talking and chatting long after the meeting ended. And that's just, again, that just shows the kind of people that are members.
yep. So maybe for July we can do the park down there on the water that we did a picnic last year
That
or
was
year
in
before.
Henrico. Oh, was that
Yeah,
Henrico?
that was in Henrico. Yeah, Osborne Landing.
Okay.
And they have a really nice facility down there. You can fish off the pier if you want to, playground for kids, that sort of thing. So I did see Patriot from Warsaw said, "Dear people of Virginia, do not give up and do not give up on your neighboring states and people." And Jill said, "We need folks out there educating others. And that's why it's important for VCDL members to engage and get others involved." Absolutely. So if you have
Yeah.
friends and neighbors, bring them to the in person meeting. Share this video with them. It's a good time to put in all of the YouTube and Facebook plugs, ding all the bells, click all the buttons, and do the likes and the shares and all of that stuff. It helps us get the word out. It doesn't cost you anything. If you are not a member, it is only $25 a year to join VCDL. And it helps us to fight the lawsuits on your behalf. It helps us to lobby on your behalf. And it helps us to develop educational programs. So Philip is working to get a program together that is going to unify all types of gun owners, because what happens to one of us happens to all of us. An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. And we need to band together. We can't stress that enough, that there is power in our collective voice.
And
So,
the other side knows that, and they want to keep us divided. They love it that we
right.
divide. We say, "Oh, that doesn't affect me, so I'm not going to get involved." That they love it.
That is the oldest military tactic in the world, is divide and conquer. And they use it so effectively. So just because somebody is different from you or has a different outlook on a particular subject from you, if they're a gun owner and they're working to protect our Second Amendment rights, then they're welcome. So it, we can find common ground and we can work together for a common cause, and we're never going to agree with anybody on everything.
Right. I
So,
want the goal. What I want to see is if you're going to, if a legislator's looking, or even a bureaucrat's looking at doing something against gun rights of any form, be it hunting, be it target shooting, be it whatever, I want them to right away think, you know what, there's a third rail. If we go here, we're going to get a million emails coming our way and our phones are going to ring off the wall. We're going to have a bunch of angry people. So maybe we should just leave this alone. I'd love to see that for anything at all that any way, shape, or form involves our right to own firearms. That would be the ultimate goal. If we're divided, then they can say, yeah, but the hunters, they don't hardly ever get involved in this stuff. If we can get them involved, then we get involved to back them up. For example, then something that might have passed that would have affected them negatively might not even be brought up. So that's the
Yep.
goal. Whether we'll get there or not, I don't know. But you'll never get there if you don't try.
Absolutely. I mean, bump stocks are a prime example. I don't own a bump
Mm.
stock. I don't want to own a bump stock, but I'm vehemently opposed to a ban on bump stocks because that is an attack on a segment of our population. And it's like a cancer that creeps through the entire body. And we cannot allow that to happen. So, um, whenever you see the action alerts come out, please click the button. Take 2 minutes or less to send the emails and take the action. It doesn't cost you anything. It only takes a very short amount of time, less time than brushing your teeth. So, and it helps us all.
Yeah, and I try to put these things out so it's as easy as possible. I try to do as much of the homework because everybody's busy. VCDL respects that. And I look at it and say, we got to get the most people involved. Let's make sure it's as easy and straightforward as possible. We're busy people, but we need the numbers. And so, yeah, and I think this last time was the only time we've ever just put out a phone number because I'm talking about the suppressor, the Hearing Protection Act.
Hmm.
That one's going to that Ways and Means Committee, and the only real way to contact them apparently was leaving a phone message. But those are easy too. There's no typing. You just gave a little script. You read it, and you're done. And all what they're going
Yes.
to do is they're going to tick off. Okay, today we got 550 people saying that they want this to go through. We got 7 people that said they don't. That's just bean counting, and you'll be one of those beans. We want to make
Yep.
sure the bean counting goes our way by a big margin.
Yep. All right, Beans. I will say, I will say, Happy Mother's Day. I saw several potential mothers on the chat, so Happy Mother's Day to you all, to your spouses, to your mothers, to your daughters with children, all of that. Um, Thank you very much for joining us. We know your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending an hour with us one Sunday a month. And with that, I will say good night.
Yeah, and
And
we enjoy the comments, and have
absolutely.
yeah, and any chance to interact with you guys. I've gotten some wonderful ideas for things that we need to be doing just by chatting to members. That's why I like. I make sure that president at vcdl.org, that goes right to me. So
Hmm.
I want to hear from people. If you've got issues, something going on, something you don't like, something you love, let me know.
Yep.
But
And
yeah,
if
so you.
if there's something you think we can do better, let us know.
Mhm.
Um, so with that, I will say good night, and we will see you all in the next one.
Right.
Bye.